Okay, so Seba, tell me, how did it start with photography?
Well, I started in Buenos Aires. I tried to start in Buenos Aires with a group of friends, and we did this night course, you know. And we realized nobody has a camera, so we started doing collage with them. But then a crisis arrived to my country, so I have to move. So when I changed to Spain, I forgot about photography until I met my wife there. She bring me here to England, and she asked me what you want to do with your life, is something that you like. And I showed some prints that I did at that time. So she put me in this university here in Manchester, and immediately I fell in love with the whole concept of photography. And I think more because I was quite isolated here. I didn't speak the language and I didn't have any friends, so that brings me, I express myself through photography very well at that moment instead of writing or talking. So I embraced photography really quick.
Okay, so the story of how you get here is a long one. Now, do you want to tell more?
Yeah. Well, we've been in crisis for a long time with my family in Argentina, but 2001 hit really bad to many families. Most of the middle class dream was over for many of us. So as many guys, I decided to leave. With my father, we made this kind of agreement. I will move, even if I was illegal. It wasn't an impediment that we see as a positive change to try to bring something positive to the family. So I started to bring one by one all the members of the family to Canary Island. That was I got the job. And so I was like that, living in those conditions for 5 years. But now my family is all established there, so we are all in Spain, and they miss, you know, the identity, they miss the friends, but at least they have the freezer, you know, with food, and they're happy in that aspect. And I decided to move here because I met Claire, my wife.
Okay, and so immigration has become the main topic of your work. So how did you start on melting your personal life experience and art photography?
Yeah, well, it really it was a life-changing those years, those 5 years as a legal immigrant, because as a victim, as experience that I lived there, you start to lose your spirit when you live in those conditions. But it really marks in my life a period where I met these guys coming from many countries, especially from deep Africa, and how the high risk of getting there, be deported, treated in really bad conditions, working in really bad conditions. So I started to make a friendship with them because I was living with them, and I couldn't, after that period, I couldn't get back to what I thought it was normal life. I always had that in my mind and my heart. So when I started with photography or with art, I started to express myself with art. It was natural, it makes sense, it was a natural thing to get to that road. I grew up listening to The Clash with Joe Strummer, and you know, he used his music, his art to do this kind of politics content of his anger, to canalize there. So I think it was a natural way to express, you know, my experience in immigrant, not just mine, but my entorn, you know, my people, to get it there.
Yeah. And you use film negatives, and you always manipulate them. So why you do it? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, well, it starts as we're talking about a little bit of anger and frustration. It started out of frustration about those years and what I see now with immigration, which is a really complex theme to talk about. But I thought the representation of this chaotic lifestyle will be more, I don't know if honest is the word, but I felt it represents in a really simple way. I mean, technically simple, you know, to damage the film and to risk what is going on with the film, and sometimes don't have control of what is going on. It really get into me instantly. This vandalizing the film. At the same time, I don't want just to abuse of what happened. You know, that was part of my life and it still is part of my life, but it doesn't mean I have to use for every project I do. But at the moment I feel like that's my path to take at the moment now.
And another fact is analog photography is also firmly bonded with memory. Sometimes you work with found materials, found photographs.
Yeah, we have human beings, we have this necessity of remember, you know, the memory and don't forget, and especially when you move from one life to another, when you move from one culture to another and try to integrate to that culture. So when you, after a few years, what you have from the past life is maybe, you know, archival material like your pictures, your memories in your head, they start to be blurry, so that's a proof like that really happened, you know. So part of my work it was based on archival material of my family and all the process I will have to live to get here.
Yeah. And so now you are in the making of this new project for Fotografia Europea in Reggio Emilia, and it's a project you are making here in the city where you live now, that is Manchester. And the key topic of the event is common life, concepts of community and citizenship. And so your work is about people from other countries as usual.
Yeah.
Some of them suffering difficulties in the years back, but this time with a special focus on their new life here, on what they share with other people. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, it's a really complex theme because we always try to focus on how they cross to come here or what they do to come here, and after maybe if they leave. But you know, the process in between to get integrated to the common life, like you say, the society, the culture, it has many layers, many different layers. Some people just integrate themselves really easy, really quick. Some they never integrate because they prefer to integrate with their own old culture, and some they really struggle to get in or out. And it's about sometimes you have things in common like music, and you can talk about with a stranger about music, and that unifies a lot, or art. But in the daily life, people coming from completely different background like Kurdistan or Czech Republic or Latin America to come to Britain, to break that barrier of be part of the community is really difficult. Some they do it really well, and some they struggle. So I would like to for this work, I'm working on this tension between making the right thing or making the wrong thing, the right decisions, wrong decisions. But in the end, you have to be part of the community. You have to interact with the community, and the common life is present every day, wrong or bad. So I'm really interested in this tension in between, and I'm working a lot with people like I knew when I came 5 years ago here, the one I can track and reach and see what they're doing now. Some they're doing the same as 5 years ago. They work in the same place, they live in the same place, or they're homeless but they still work in the same place. And some they really progress. So how that progress, how the community see this progress, how the common life with the person from here see this progress, is seen like a positive. Like it's giving something back to the community, or you just receive something and change, or nothing.
Okay. And so very often there is a paradoxical situation, because they have their concrete life here, their real life, but sometimes they don't have the right to be completely free where they live now.
That's it happens to me here. It's when you think, again, talking about common life, when you think you do the right thing and you give what you can to this society, legally the papers say you don't have permission to stay here, so they allow you to do certain things, but under the law you're not welcome, or you don't supposed to be here. So again, I think it's really psychological issue, how you manage yourself with your identity as a citizen in the society when you try to study or you try to work or you try to do things, positive things to the community, and the actual system of the community doesn't want you here, or don't give you a permission to stay here. So that's another, and again, it's tension between yourself and the common life.
Yeah, and I often ask myself how much identity is something concrete, something that is really part of us, and how much is something that we try to preserve or try to build because we feel we need it. What do you think?
Yeah, yes, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one because now I start a new family, right? I have kids, so sometimes you try to pass to your next generation what you think is best about your culture, about what you left behind. And until there, I didn't realize how much or how important or how present was my roots from Argentina. And I found myself saying, oh yeah, we do that, in my country we do this or we do that. And then I heard myself thinking about, it's irrelevant in a way. It's irrelevant, we're here now, and it's good to know how other people live and what we did. But in the end, I'm not that guy anymore. You know, I don't know really who I am in terms of common life and community. But I live here and I enjoy living here at the moment.
So what something about your photographic practice, and I like the way you behave as a reporter in a way, but that you seek for places, you seek for people and stories, and you go through the situations, and but what you actually do is very different. It goes beyond the documentary practice. So what is your relationship with documentary?
I feel like the anti-reporter or the anti
absolutely.
For the journalist. But yeah, you're right. I go to those kind of situations, but in the end, I think, in my point of view, in my personal experience as an artist, is not enough, or is not. I don't want to limit myself just to show that conflict or that suffer or whatever emotions. You know, that's it. I will go more for the deep emotions, and between that gap between the image and the feeling of the actual story of the actual sitter. So I see my practice as performance. I think performance, go there to those situations, perform myself with them, interact with them is a really important element of the practice. And I think it's important too because I want to put my feelings in the project. So I think that element of the performance give me this extra bit of saying, okay, this is how I see, or I try to understand, or I try to explain, or I confuse, or whatever it is I do, is I want to be part of the project.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm writing my essay for the catalog right now. And
good luck.
Yeah, and there's the thing that I make a reference to the work of some artist photographers like Lewis Bowles and Paul Graham, because they deal with the invisible social and economic processes that lie behind the things and behind what is visible. And I think that this is your approach too, in a way, when you try to evoke what remains hidden in the experience of immigrant people. Do you think it could be a key for your work?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you mentioned Paul Graham, and I think it's a great influence, and it's that you get into the key of how I see, what I perceive, what art photography is right now. Is his work is not just an inspiration. When you see his generation, the photographer of his generation, the first project that they felt, oh, that works, they've been all the career doing the same. I see him as a visionary. He's a pioneer, but all the time he's pushing boundaries into photography, into art. And I think I got that idea from, you know, that strong idea of say, okay, yeah, let's try to move this on, and the invisible is, as you say, is really difficult, you know, to found, and you can talk about it sometimes when you feel it, but to that bridge between what you can say and the actual image or the actual project or the body of work, it's transition. It's a big transition to get into. It's difficult, but in the end, it's worth everything, because when you feel like the audience can perceive that feeling or that emotion, is when the work is working. So yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Basically.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniele.